So this reading I'm going to talk about is from February 26th, and so the reading is titled Traditional Micronesian Societies, Adaptation, Integration, and Political Organization. It's by Glenn Peterson. So basically, we had to read the introduction and the first two chapters. So in his book, Peterson describes how the people of Micronesia live, and how they have changed over time. And she explains how, although Micronesian social life now does reflect these changes, so much has changed in the most recent years that many Micronesians today do not understand their cultural history. And it's really important that they reconnect with that and realize that there have been a lot of influences that have affected them. But it's also good to remain true to the traditional culture. So basically, his purpose of writing this book is to educate people about Micronesia, but also to help the actual Micronesians who hopefully will be reading this learn about more of their ancestry. So an interesting observation that he makes about the social structure of Micronesian societies is that they're organized around lineages and clans. And she explains that a lineage is it's a small group located within a community, and each lineage is part of a larger clan. And then within this clan, there are many different lineages on different islands, which is really interesting to note that, Micronesia, there's so many islands so far apart, but they come together because of these lineages. The fact that these lineages may be on different islands provides Micronesians with a lot of support and make them feel more connected, and I think that's a really cool aspect, and probably definitely influences their social structure and cultural traditions. So he focuses on the similarities between these islands, but most importantly on why these similarities exist. So for example, she's interested in what are some of the common patterns of social organization proved to be so useful that they're adopted by these people. Okay, so in his introduction, he goes on to give kind of an overview of Micronesia, its background, the different islands. But he also notes that as researchers, they have little information about the traditional Micronesians before outside influences. And that's really interesting to note because you realize that there are only a few reliable sources on the traditional Micronesian belief systems and political systems because the Micronesians have engaged in a lot of trade with outsiders, so that has definitely impacted their culture and social structure other than that. So basically, his purpose is to seek to describe Micronesian cultures and to explain how Micronesian societies are integrated with one another and how this came about through the islands.